After Hori and Miyamura started dating, Yoshikawa's affection for Ishikawa started growing. She is walking down the hallway with Ishikawa to take the trash out, while asking him to help her pick a DVD later. When they run into Sakura, who ends up getting her clothes stained from the collision, Ishikawa apologizes and gives Sakura his own jersey to hide the stain. That leads to the growth of Sakura's feelings. Sakura returns Ishikawa's jersey after washing it the next day, and gives cookies to him as a thanks. Yoshikawa gets jealous of this act, and asks for Miyamura's help in baking. She ends up burning the cupcakes, but Ishikawa eats them anyway, encouraging her to bake more. Miyamura had to leave for a trip to Hokkaido, to attend a funeral, and the separation added to Hori's anxiety. Her anxiety grew even more after Miyamura's phone died on the trip as well, and her feelings were clear on her face. Miyamura returned, and the two reunited in the elevator, welcoming each other with a tearful embrace. Hori gets advised by the girls to act more submissive around Miyamura, after he came back while watching a horror movie. But her attempt at acting docile ended up making Miyamura scared. Instead, Hori's embarrassment is coped with by Miyamura, after he reminded her that he loves her for who she is. Miyamura dreams about meeting his past self in middle school, and how he used to hate everything around him, even the teachers. Miyamura assures his younger self in the dream, about how he will find friends, as well one day, filling his dark and gloomy world with colors other than his. Remi also reminisces about how she met Sengoku back in the day, and despite being a nerd and not the most confident guy, he confessed his love to her back then, and started dating her. Miyamura was receiving a manicure from Hori, and hanging out with her as usual, when he realized that Hori has masochistic tendencies, and wishes for Miyamura to scream at her. Miyamura spent the next day trying to act harsh towards her, but ended up failing to maintain his character. He ended up scaring two girls to death, after Hori kept insisting on treating her harshly. While all this is going on, Yoshikawa gets asked out by a guy from another class, named Yanagi. She consults her friends about how to reject him, and they end up deciding on making Ishikawa act as her boyfriend. Presuming that Ishikawa is better looking than Yanagi, everyone is surprised after finding out how good looking Yanagi is, but Yoshikawa still rejects his feelings, claiming that she is just a simple and plain girl. Despite his rejection, Yanagi befriends the rest of the gang, and ends up joining the group himself. Miyamura and Hori are walking home after school together as usual, when Miyamura runs into another middle school classmate, named Tanihara, the same kid who used to bully him. They made fun of him for being a weak guy who makes his little girlfriend carry his back home, and proceed with their trash talk until Hori gets mad at him and his friend, ending up giving both of them a good beating. Tanihara visits Shindo after getting beat up, and reminisces about his problem with Miyamura, being the death of the rabbits back in the day in middle school. Later, Hori continues requesting Miyamura to be rough with her, and he reluctantly agrees, hitting Hori in front of a convenience store, where Tanihara and his friends saw them. Thinking that Miyamura is a bigger monster than Hori herself, Miyamura meets Mizuchi at school, and their interaction is initially cold, since Mizuchi has a crush on Hori, but the two understand each other and warm up later. Tanihara remembers his past for blaming Miyamura for the death of the rabbits, and reflects on his action after asking Shindo about him on the phone. He visits Miyamura's cake shop, where Miyamura welcomes him nicely, and Tanihara promises to come back after internally apologizing to Miyamura for his actions. Hori and Miyamura look back at their lives in the middle school, and Miyamura is now able to look at it better, after getting close to people now and actually having friends. Miyamura's closeness with Tanihara develops a lot recently, and this development makes Hori jealous, since Miyamura is spending a lot of time with other guys. Miyamura gets mistaken for having a preference change into guys, and Hori hilariously requests him to please choose a girl if he ever wishes to fall for someone other than her. Apart from Hori and Miyamura, the ship of Ishikawa and Yoshikawa seems to be sailing as well, since they seem to be getting rather close to each other. This closeness devastated Sakura, who had feelings for Ishikawa as well, and she got sad from their supposed dating. While Yuki herself is unsure of how to deal with her growing feelings for Ishikawa, Yuki started comparing herself with Sakura, and remarked that she has a dark and gloomy personality compared to Sakura. When having a conversation with Ishikawa on the rooftop of the school building, Ishikawa told Yuki about Sakura on the rooftop, and proceeded to encourage Yuki by telling her about everything he loves about Yuki, meaning snow. Despite it being cold, he tells her about the excitement developing for the arrival of the snow. Ishikawa and Yoshikawa, or Toru and Yuki, are now much closer, as they held hands while walking back. Sakura saw the two after school when she was in Sengoku's office, and burst into tears after witnessing their closeness, remarking that she got rejected even before she could confess her love. It is revealed that the free-spirited Ayura is actually a big brother, and on the same day the group tries to get close to Yanagi, with the boys trying their own ways. Miyamura worries about his relationship with the guys at first, but later develops a bond with Yanagi himself. Miyamura takes Sawada around to get her comfortable with the guys, and she is improving with her fear of guys, until Ayura comes and troubles her with his loud personality. Then Ayura gets sick and doesn't talk for one day, and Sawada mistakes the silent treatment as Ayura hating her. Back at home, Ayura's little sister, Motoko, gets discouraged by her teacher at school. He says that she will never be able to get into a high school of her choice, and this rudeness made her sad. Ayura gets fired up after listening to this nonsense, and encourages his sister into trying her best. Motoko visits Hori's residence, after Ayura requested Hori to teach her, and the two had a little conversation. Hori asked Miyamura to join them for Christmas dinner, but Miyamura refused since he has a lot of work to handle at the cake shop. At a restaurant, Ishikawa consults Ayura and Sengoku about his current relationship with Yoshikawa, and even though they are not technically dating right now, he is comfortable with their current relationship. Later, Yoshikawa visits Ishikawa's place to play some games, and in his room the two get embarrassed and anxious with no idea of what to do. The situation got complicated even more by Ishikawa's home caretaker, who teases him continuously. Christmas Eve arrives, and everyone spends their time with their families. Miyamura also visits Hori's residence for cake delivery, and ends up spending more time with the family than he initially intended to. Hori walks with Miyamura on his way back home, and he ends up telling her that they should get married, after Hori revealed that she wishes for them to stay together. The end of the school year approaches, and all the students pack their stuff from their lockers. While packing in the student council, Remy wishes to go on a trip with her friends after school, while worrying about staying together afterwards, before she is reassured by the others that they will continue staying friends even after graduation. Miyamura reflects on what his high school life would have been like if he had never met Hori that way, and decides to never forget who he was before. The graduation ceremony arrives, and Miyamura ends up sneezing during Sengoku's speech, making everyone laugh and embarrassing Sengoku. Sawada says goodbyes to Hori, and Sakura thanks Ishikawa. Yanagi pitches the idea of a trip after graduation to Yoshikawa, and Kioski visits the school after ceremony, to annoy Hori and Miyamura. The session wraps up with Motoko witnessing a different side of her brother at school, and Miyamura thinking about things he loves about Hori, wondering about what he can do to show his thanks to her in the future. And that's the end of the video. Please tell me your opinion, and like the video. Take care, and watch other interesting videos.